Welcome back, our fellow patriots, to the Save Our Republic daily video series. We are going to jump to the First Amendment, and specifically with regard to freedom of speech, which has become under attack and seemed to have lost its preeminence as a critical value in our society. The rights to free speech and press are so ingrained in American culture today that it's hard to believe that they were ever at risk until very recently. But the reality is that for most of human history, there was no such thing as free speech or free press. If an individual spoke out against the government, chances were very high that they would be arrested, beaten, tortured, imprisoned, or even murdered. Books and other writings were often subject to approval before publication or censorship after publication. This began to change slowly in England, where the people eventually gained their right to publish without prior approval of the government. That's commonly known as prior restraint. So no prior restraint. Even there, the publishers and writers could be punished for seditious libel. That's if they attacked the government and undermined people's confidence in it. Seditious libel allowed the government to punish those who injured the reputation of the government, even if what the speaker said was true. In fact, punishment was often meted out against speech because it was true. That's bizarre, right? But that's what really happened. In the colonies, starting in 1735, there was a famous case against Peter Zenger, a New York printer, and the defense of truth became established. The jury refused to convict Zenger because he was prosecuted for telling the truth. Freedom of speech and press are also indispensable, unalienable rights, which serve a bunch of different purposes. And I'm not going to do the 50 top reasons, but I'm going to fly through several now. Truth. Remember, we believe in truth, self-evident truths. Well, you can't find out what the truth is if you can't hear from people, if you can't have an engaged debate and understand what is true. And so if there's censorship, then the truth can be bottled up, thrown away, burned. Liberty. Again, it's an unalienable right that you have the right to express yourself, to write your thoughts. Born within you, can't be taken away by government. You don't need the government's permission. Autonomy and self-fulfillment. Think about songwriters and people like that, authors and writers, political folks, just your everyday person who wants to vent about a government policy or their schools or some idiot on YouTube. It leads to your ability to have autonomy, to be left alone, and to find fulfillment of yourself. You don't have to be an artist or a songwriter or a book writer to feel that you're very fulfilled when you have the ability to speak. Trust me, I have a lot of friends that find fulfillment just by talking. Knowledge, inquiry, science, history, geography, health, finance. We need to understand from other people those expertise and those experts to be able to learn and to strive to uncover the truth in those kinds of areas. Elections and campaigns, obviously. The core of the First Amendment, that political candidates, voters, political parties, and others, special interest groups, should have the ability to speak in the campaigns, talk about political issues, petition the government, advocate for certain changes. It's fundamental. Policies and feedback, I just kind of talked about that, but the idea that the people can then chime in and say, hey, you passed this law, it's bad, you need to change it. Protests and dissent. Very obvious. If you don't like a policy, you should be able to protest and dissent it. Tolerance. Listening to others. The reciprocity principle. The golden rule. If you listen to somebody else, you might learn something, develop friendships. You can persuade others and gather allies. This culture of civility and tolerance through speech is very important. If you just cancel your enemies, shout them down, censor them, we're in a world of hurt. Culture, art, beauty, entertainment, all those things are part of free speech. To be able to make films, to be able to paint the way that you want, to be able to make TV programs, to get on the radio. That's all free speech. Fairness in trials. This assures that proceedings are conducted fairly to all concerned. It discourages perjury. So this is more like the press coming in and watching, discourages misconduct of participants. It discourages secret bias or partiality. And there's a significant therapeutic value. By allowing people to vent their frustrations, there's an outlet for community concern and hostility. Instead of taking to the streets and burning things down, you can talk it out and hopefully heal that way. It's core to the functioning of government, as I've mentioned, and it allows access to government information to allow the people to constrain the government or help it be better. You also have the ability of public access, as I said before, in connection with information, which actually, if you think about it, is incredibly important in connection with the free market, that you have the ability to price information, to figure out what the competition is, to listen to different advertisements and consumer critiques. Think about going to eBay or Apple Podcast or to anybody else where they're Amazon, where they're rating things in this market competition and price. And obviously religious creativity. You have all those kinds of things are so important. So I'm going to stop there. I've been going on for a little while, but the next time you hear people say that they don't need free speech is not important, just don't listen to people, censor them, block them, you have something to fight back with. Even if it's not government censorship, there's still a reason to have the free exchange of ideas. Until next time, don't forget about America's Survival Guide at americasurvivalguide.com, Patriot Week at patriotweek.org, and the Patriot Lessons American History and Civics podcast. God bless you, and God bless America.